We're learning more about NASA's issues and failures with some of its biggest contractors, including the millions spent on DEI. Joining us now to discuss is OpenTheBooks.com's Deputy Public Policy Editor, Rachel O'Brien. Good morning to you, Rachel. Great to see you as always. What did you find out about NASA's deals with contractors specifically?
Yeah, so NASA spent around $15 billion in contracts each year for the last 4 fiscal years. So Boeing received $6.4 billion from NASA in the time, and SpaceX, which is sending up that rocket, hopefully today, we'll see. SpaceX is the 3rd largest contractor, $5.3 billion. So, the NASA Inspector General put out a report just last year that found several issues with how NASA deals with its various contractors. NASA awarded $77 million in questionable fees to various contractors working on rocket boosters, engines, the Orion spacecraft, and they gave these fees during periods of poor performance. NASA also gave sole source contracts to contractors to develop machinery for spaceflight. And of course, that eliminated competition. It drove up prices. This report also found lots of examples of waste, fraud, and abuse in the procurement process. For example, one CEO of a Florida company, he pleaded guilty to wire fraud for submitting nearly 200 fraudulent quality control documents for parts that were going to NASA's Space Launch System at the Kennedy Space Center. So NASA has a lot of work to do to get its contractors in a place where it should be.
So aside from Boeing's Starliner spacecraft stranding these 2 NASA astronauts on the ISS, the International Space Station, what other issues is NASA facing with Boeing?
Yeah, this failure of Boeing, with the Starliner is alarming enough, but the company is also 6 years behind schedule and $1.8 billion over budget on its part of the Space Launch System. That's going to bring us back to the moon. And so Boeing's quality control systems also fall short of NASA's requirement. So, Boeing's process to address deficiencies have been ineffective, and the company has essentially been non-responsive. This report said they've been non-responsive in taking actions to fix these quality control issues. The Inspector General said that federal oversight officers issued 71 corrective action requests to Boeing to address these issues. NASA said, they're not concerned. They're still working with Boeing. The agency, they said, holds its programs to the highest technical and programmatic standards, and they're working on this. But it's certainly, obviously concerning for those of us who are watching these astronauts stranded.
These failures really in NASA's core mission were while NASA was also spending about $20 million on DEI over 4 years. What exactly did they pay for?
So in his first day in office, you'll remember President Biden undid President Trump's first previous order that agencies and contractors would stop performing DEI training. So Biden brought that back. His executive order embedded DEI in all government agencies. NASA rolled out its DEI strategic plan with many goals to include race and sex-based hiring and promotion initiatives. Performance reviews of NASA staff included evaluating people on how closely they conform to DEI ideology. Just a few examples of that $20 million spent on DEI contracts and grants. Over $2.5 million went to a company for diversity training to incorporate and deeply ingrain DEI in the culture and business of NASA. $9 million more on various DEI contracts, $568,000 on grants for environmental justice purposes. Lots more examples of that type of spending, that added up to $20 million. And it's all to say, identity politics has no place in NASA. It should be focusing on not only the fiscal responsibility in getting these contractors in line, but its core mission of space exploration and research and rescuing stranded astronauts.
All right. OpenTheBook.com's Deputy Public Policy Editor, Rachel O'Brien. We appreciate your stories and your investigations for us. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Have a good one.